Smart headlights and rear-view camera mirrors are both technologies that consumers would like to see in a future vehicle, according to a new J.D. Power study released on Tuesday. However, most consumers are still skeptical about self-driving technologies.
I think what we're going to see is a seismic change in what vehicles are going to do for us and how they're going to affect the world in which we live. We're going to see fully self-driving vehicles on the road. I don't think anybody has any doubt about that. There's debate about how soon that will happen and how quickly it will happen, but I don't think there's any doubt that that's coming. We're going to see driverless taxis on demand, for sure. We're going to see driverless delivery vehicles. We're going to see vehicle sharing, where we pool our vehicles and I borrow yours and you borrow mine, and some company who organizes this makes some money off the top. We're going to see journey-based ownership, where I just pay for what I use. We're going to see, obviously, new powertrains, and we're going to see a lot of vehicle-to-vehicle and vehicle-to-infrastructure communications. This is all coming. We know it's coming. We can debate around how quickly it's going to come and who's going to get there first and who's going to win and who's going to lose. But I think in 30 years' time, those of us who are still alive are going to look back and things are going to be completely different to how they are now. New players are coming in. They're shaking things up. Obviously, companies like Uber are fundamentally changing the world in which we live. Automakers and suppliers are rushing to position themselves to win in a world that they don't really know what the world's going to look like, but they're trying to position themselves to win in this kind of world. And so they're kind of figuring out where to place their bets, where to put their money. And so most of them are putting their money everywhere because something's going to work out. But in the middle of all this is the consumer. What do they think? What do they want? And that's really where J.D. Power comes in, is to try to understand what consumers think, what they feel, what they want, what they worry about, and how that's going to shape the future, and how particularly the automakers and suppliers handle that, a very uncertain consumer.
So getting into the technologies and how they ranked in particular. So starting out with the top 10. Again, this is before price is introduced, and we'll do a bit of the walk. So we see that 7 out of 10 of these top 10 help the driver to see. And by see, I'm taking this a bit of levity here, because certainly smart headlights help in that respect, but cameras, right? These are where some of these extra set of eyes come through. Emergency braking and steering is a really interesting technology to pay attention to, because we know that, last year at this point in time was when NHTSA and the automakers signed their agreement for the emergency braking portion of this system to be standard by 2022. So it's exciting to see the level of interest when you take the more advanced version and add the steering element to this technology, and see the high interest in this. But also, this type of technology, when you start to add the steering capability, this is that foundational building block that Dave was mentioning. So moving into, so how does the chart change? How does this top 10 change once price is introduced? So we do see a natural phenomenon here, and we've seen this for a while now, where the technologies that are least expensive come up to the list, right? $60, I can handle that. Yep, I can. I'm interested in. I would purchase that technology. But to me, the element and the takeaway on this list is look at the technologies that are there that do have a higher price point. So these camera-based technologies, again, coming back to that concept of I need help to be able to navigate my vehicle and all the complexities that are going on in the environment. And still on the list is the emergency braking and steering. So even at a $700 price point, which is pretty steep, right? It's still up there on the list, and certainly that beat out a number of other lower priced technologies. So one generational distinction between Gen Z and baby boomers is understanding what object in their life promotes independence or freedom. And so for baby boomers, for myself included, I recognize that this object would likely be the vehicle, right? And this has been, a constant within our life that we know that that's our way out and provides us with the independence we're looking for. But for Gen Z, we see that that object would likely be their smartphone, right? It's a different relationship with a vehicle for Gen Z than it is versus a baby boomer. So with the exception of Generation Y, consumers in all the other generational groups are more skeptical about self-driving technology. So when we compared this question to last year's results, we saw that 11 percentage points more for Gen Z consumers and 5 percentage points more for baby boomers say they definitely would not trust automated technology. So those that were in that probably state last year, now you see them becoming more decisive, where they're shifting either lower in a small portion of Gen Z that shifted to that they would trust it. But consumers' concerns surrounding added technology, complexity, privacy, the potential for systems to be hacked and hijacked, that remains a universal concern. So we are seeing that level of consistency. So there remains a strong linear relationship between consumer interest and trust in full self-driving automation. So again, this suggests that this is not a capability issue, but really trust as the underlying motivating factor that's going to drive interest.
Ryan, Kayla, and Norma. Come on.
I'll just go.
Okay.
in the front.
So let's talk briefly about what you saw up there. I mean, how do you, Kayla, view what it is that we saw here in terms of your thoughts about future technology and what you want to see in a car?
Oh, I think it's amazing. The things that they're trying to put in front of us, it's hard to explain. It's amazing. I do think the self-driving cars, though, I think that is more of a company-based thing, such as like Uber and Lyft should be using them. I'm 100% confident when I say I will never own one. It is a very scary thing, and I think that's
Really?
why it shouldn't be in everybody's hands. But there is also a lot to develop with it also. So,
Okay, Norma,
Let
what
me
do
add
you
on-
think?
Yeah, let me add on to that. Just the fact of losing control of being able to go wherever you want to be, how is that even going to actually work in the future? Because at times I'd say, like, yeah, I'm going to go to Target to go buy something, but then I change my mind in the middle of like wherever I'm headed to, and I'm like, never mind, I'll go somewhere else. You know, so how is that going to work? I don't like the fact of being able to lose control of where I'm going.
Okay, Brian, how about you?
Like she said, I personally would never own a car that doesn't allow me to drive it personally. It's a lack of trust. I don't know, there's something about holding a steering wheel and deciding where you can go instead of, you know, setting something into a computer and you sitting in the back seat or the front seat, and it's deciding where you take your course. Like she said, you know, what if you have change of plans? What if there's an emergency? How can you fix that? You know, can you type it in real quickly and get right back? You know, what happens? So I think it's something that needs to be well developed more.
You're Northwood, and we all in this room know what that means. You're still car people. You really like your cars. I did a piece that we aired about a month ago. She's a designer for Ford. She is 24 years old, has 15 patents, comes from California, and works in the automotive, the self-driving car business, and does not have a driver's license. And so it begs the question, you are car people, so therefore you're thinking in those terms, but how about your classmates, your colleagues, say even from high school? Are you hearing from them in terms of whether they think that a car means freedom to them?
I would say so. I grew up in an extremely small town. We didn't even have a stoplight, and cruising was something we did. It was a great pastime. It was how we hung out with each other. We would just go drive around back roads and try to avoid all the potholes. So to hear people 24 years old not having your license, that's crazy. I'm not 24 yet, but and I've had my license for a couple of years now, so that's interesting.
Ryan, any thoughts?
I think it takes away from involvement. You need a car to get everywhere. I think a license, it's definitely a privilege, but it's something you look forward to. You know, it's like, man, I'm 15 and a half. Dang it, I'm not 16 yet. I can't get my license. And like once you get it, it's like the biggest milestone in your life. It's like, yes, I'm gonna go on the longest drive I could ever take. You know, waste about $40 in gas.
Until the caffeine wears off.
Yeah, until the
Yes.
caffeine wears off.